Hey everybody, welcome back. So a little while ago I made a video on how to make a net needle. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to use that net needle that I made and I'm going to go over the process of making a net. I've made several nets already. It's relatively easy. When you're first starting out, what I'd recommend you do is use a really thick rope or a thicker string because you are going to make mistakes and it's going to be important to undo those mistakes and go back and repair those. First thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to need a gauge once you have your net needle. I've already wrapped the cordage around the net needle that I've made. For this cordage, what I have is some bank line. And for the bank line, all I've done is I've split it down into 3 individual cords, and then I've tied those 3 cords together. To start off, what you're going to want to do is start from the back side. We're then going to wrap that around twice. Then what you're going to want to do is just tie a real simple knot. So once, and twice. That's going to be the very first section that we make on our net. We look at our knot shouldn't move or slip at all. The next step that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to hook that rope onto something. That could be a tree, it could be an old rusty nail, it could be your doorknob. I want to take this end right here, and I want that to be about the middle of my knot, pointing off to the side.
Start by placing the string in front of the net gauge and wrapping it around the gauge. This will keep your mesh size consistent. With the string wrapped around the gauge, locate the loop from the previous knot. Using the net needle, pass it through the center between the 2 strands of string. Pull the loop tight and hold it securely against the gauge with your thumb, keeping your hand holding the net gauge steady. Now, using the hand holding the net needle, create a loop with the string. This loop should rest on top of the hand that's holding the net gauge, ensuring the net gauge hand remains stationary. Next, pass the needle behind both strands of the string and through the center of the loop that you just created with the net needle, which now rests on the hand holding the gauge. Gently pull the net needle through the loop, tightening the knot while maintaining even tension. Secure the knot firmly against the gauge, then release the gauge and move on to the next knot.
The next step, that I'm going to take my spacing block. With my spacing block, I'm going to place that over top the rope, and then we're going to do the exact same thing that we did to make that first knot. We're going to go around that once. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our needle, we're going to go through that opening, and we're going to pull that tight. Now, you don't want to pull that too tight. You want to just pull it enough that you have the ability to put a little bit of tension on. Once you've done that, you want to take your string, go around your hand, and then you're going to go through both of the first 2 pieces of rope. As you're going through, you want to make sure that you're coming up and going through the string as well. Once you've done that, you can remove your block, and that shouldn't be able to move up or down. For the next section, we're just going to rotate that a little bit, and we're going to do the exact same thing again. At this point, I got about a meter long net. Spread out this way, it's probably about 2.5 feet. So what I've done is I've taken my tag end here, which is where we started. I've laid everything all out. So this is going to be our top end right here. The bottom where the tag end is where we're going to continue to build off of. What I'm going to do
is I'm going to put this net, kind of scrunch it up a little bit. So to do that, I'm just going to take my pencil. You can use a stick as well. I'm going to go in behind the back of every one of these and then through the front. Now what we want to look for is that all of our knots are in the exact same spot and that all of our loops here are about the same length as well. That's going to let us know that we've done everything right up to this point. The next thing we need to do is we're going to tie a rope around right here. And all that's going to be to do is to make sure none of these slip. And then we're going to put this back under tension. I've done it this way just so that you guys can see it a little bit better. I'm going to take a carabiner. I'm going to put my carabiner where that pencil is right now. Now this carabiner could be a rusty nail. It could be a stick on a tree. It doesn't really matter what we're connecting this to at this point. I want to make sure that we have all the loops. I missed one there. Now I'm going to tie a piece of paracord on the other end and just tie it across the room there so that we're still putting this under tension. The other thing I'm going to do before I start, I want to be starting going from left to right because I am right-handed. I'm just going to take this whole thing and I'm going to switch that over so that I'm starting on the left-hand side, heading to the right. All right, we can see that we're getting that nice net shape right now. What we're going to do is we're going to continue on the exact same way that we've been going. So we'll pull that down so that we have tension. We'll go over in between that set of loops. Now what we've been doing before is we've been taking the rope off. We're going to continue to leave that on. I'm going to take my spacing block. With my spacing block, I'm going to place that over top the rope. And then we're going to do the exact same thing that we did to make that first knot. We're going to go around that once. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our needle. We're going to go through that opening. And we're going to pull that tight. Once you've done that, you want to take your string, go around your hand, and then you're going to go through both of the first two pieces of rope. As you're going through, you want to make sure that you're coming up and going through the string as well. And we're going to do the exact same thing again. And we're just going to keep moving that over. Now that we're at the end again, I want to start, so I'm starting on the left-hand side again. So I'm just going to switch the whole thing over. Now that it's all switched over, I'm going to take my block out. So we're going to keep going that way until we get our net to the desired size that we want. That's pretty much how you make a net with a net needle. You can see I made a couple of mistakes inside the net. I can see 3 spots, one right here, one right here, one right here, and I see a 4th one down here as well, where I put a slip knot instead of the actual correct knot. That happens when you put the rope on the wrong spot as you're sewing that. If you notice it while you're doing it, your best bet is going to be to untie it, then retie it at the time. It makes it a lot easier to do the next link in the row. But if you do find that you do that, you can modify it a little bit as you're making it. Just pull the other side down on it, cinch it tight, tie it off, go to the next one, tie that, and then it'll make up that difference.
although it'll still be there noticeable in the net a little bit. But it's relatively easy to make a net. It does take a little bit of practice. This is probably about the 4th or 5th one that I've made. They've all been relatively small at this point. I'm still learning how to do it, getting a little bit better. But I just want to give you guys an idea of how to make the net. I just want to give you guys an idea of how you can go about making the net. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and have a good night.